Hi everyone, I'm Needlecraft Annie. This is flosstube number 143, and I'm here to show you everything I stitched on last week. Last Monday, I told you last week would be a great week for stitching. I would have I would have a lot of time, and I was hoping for so many things. And in the end, I did not stitch on any of my non-full coverage pieces at home. I only got to 4 of my projects, not all 5. So I'm just going to stop saying that because whenever I do, it turns out to be not a great week for stitching. So yeah, I'm going to shut up about that and not mention anything more about that anymore. Just so I can actually get some stitching done. I have a few slight changes in my rotation, so we're going to do a planning section in the end. Nothing major, basically still the same, but I'm talking about that in the end. Also, I only have 4 projects left to finish my year-end goal on, because on one of them I finished my year-end goal. And that's the project we're going to start with, because that's the project I stitched on first last week. And the project is the Gemini Sweeps by Golden Kite. For this one, my year-end goal were 11,000 stitches this year, and I did that. Last week, I was missing another 750 or something like that. So this is going to be the finished piece, but I stitched it extreme cross country, so I'm picking colors in the top left corner and finishing over the whole piece. So far there's a lot of off-white colors and not that much to see. But I'm going to show you a picture of what it looked like last time. Here. And this is where I got to. So the lighting is not great, and I'm very sorry about that, but it is already 4 p.m. We changed to winter time yesterday. So basically it's 5 p.m. and it is the last day of October. So yeah, the light isn't great, but I had an early shift. I wasn't able to be here anytime sooner, so we have to deal with it. So this is where I got to it. As I said, 11,000 stitches since the beginning of the year. I was supposed to do about 750, and I continued stitching on the color I was stitching last, which was a light blue. And I finished that over the whole piece, and I had about 39 stitches, I think, left to do. 39 stitches is not a lot, and honestly, I was really done with this project. I wanted to pack it away and move on. Yeah, I was done, and then I had 40 stitches left over, so I went to the top of the design into that first page. I'm going on the first page in columns, top to bottom, left to right. So that's where I picked my colors, and the next color was on the side of this building over here. So it was quite of a dark color, and the darkest so far. So technically I was happy with that, but it also was a blended color, so instead of doing 40 stitches, I ended up with, I think, 160 because blended. I cut all my threads 1 meter long. I think that's 36 inches or something like that. So long threads. If I stitch with 2 strands, I fold them in half, have a loop start, and the thread is quite long, but basically exactly the right length. If I stitch with 1 strand or blended colors, the thread is still 1 meter long, and that means it's way too long. But I do not enjoy putting my threads away, getting the next one out, starting threads, and so on. So therefore, I don't care. I rather throw away like that much because it frays at the end of a piece than spend my time rethreading the needle all the time. So yeah, I don't really care. But that means I did about 160 stitches in that new color, and as you can see, I think a lot over here and up here as well. If I remember correctly, I finished the first row of pages with that color already, because it is such a dark color. It was only in that building, in that first row of pages. And I moved down here and started stitching over here, and there's quite a lot left, I think. Hopefully not only up here in that building, but over the whole piece. But that's something I'm going to see next year, because now my year-end goal is done. I probably should tell you, this is stitched on a 25 count even weave in a light blue. I did not want to stitch all that off-white on white, so light blue. And I'm stitching 2/1 10 stitches. Needleminder is from Denka Designs, and yeah. In my whip parade at the end of the year, probably 1st of January, I'm going to do a comparison between all my projects and what they looked like at the beginning of the year. And this one should be quite a difference. So I'm really looking forward to that, actually. But yeah, here is my Gemini Sweep. This is the last time you see that this year, except if I finish all of my goals, which at the moment I very much doubt. Then you will see this again, because my plan so far, if I finish all my goals early enough, is to stitch off on each of my projects one more time. But yeah, as I said, I doubt it. Okay, next project I then was supposed to move on and wanted to move on was Norwegian Ship Under Sail by Golden Kite. This is the small edition. They have a little bit of a bigger one, but this one had enough detail for me. So I'll show you a picture of what it looked like last time here. And this is where I got to. So I show you the whole thing, and basically I stitched in page number 4, which is this page over here. I finished the column I was stitching on. As you can see, there were little parts of the next sail in there, and then I started back in the next column, started on the top, finished all the perked threads, moving further down, and as you can see, there are still a few perked threads down here in this confetti heavier area, and this is going to be the next sail. So yeah, that's what I did on this one. This is stitched on 18 count antique white Ada. I'm stitching 2/1 4 crosses. Needleminder is from Denka Designs, and it looks absolutely stunning. I think I need about 1,600 stitches until the year is done. Sorry, I had to cough, so there might be a subcut in here. Yeah, so 1,600 stitches until the end of the year, which is not a lot, but this one took a long time. I only needed 415 stitches this week, and knowing this was going to be my next project, it actually took me 2 days to actually start stitching on it, and then it took me another 2 days for 400 stitches. So this one is the reason I changed my rotation slightly. But as I said, I'm going to talk about that in the end, I think. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the end. So this is Norwegian Ship Under Sail. Getting closer to finishing my year-end goal. And my year-end goal are, on this one, 10,000 stitches. So even if I don't finish my goal, which I still very much hope I will do, but even if I don't, that still means I got a lot of progress on this one this year. So I am definitely happy with that. Just a little bit more would be nice. Okay. Then we move on to my third full coverage project, and that is Colorado Mountains. Colorado Mountains by Golden Kite. So this is going to be the finished piece, and my year-end goal on this one is a finish. So yeah, hoping for that one still. So let me show you a picture of what it looked like last time here. And this is where I got to, and I'm very, 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 very happy with that. As you can see, there are no more perked threads anymore over here. That means I finished that page, I finished that row. There are only 2 pages left in that bottom row. Those are partial pages. They are not as high as the ones above. So I'm really happy. This is stitched on a 25 count even weave. I'm stitching 2/1 10 stitch. Needleminder is from Denka Designs. And I bring the part I stitched on a little bit closer. There was one column started that I finished, and then there was a partial column, but it was 9 stitches wide. So basically it was close to a whole column. and I stitched that one completely, and I'm very happy with how that turned out. It took me until yesterday evening at 10 or something, so I was really done with stitching once again. But yeah, it turned out amazing, and now there are only 2 pages left, which is very exciting. And those 2 pages aren't super confetti heavy, as you can already see with only those few part threads down here. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to getting that one done. Yeah, it looks amazing. I can't wait to get back to this one and continue stitching. At the beginning of the year, with this one, or all my golden kites actually, all of those I stitch from a paper panel. And that's the reason I stitch most of them in columns, just so I don't get lost. What did I want? What was it I wanted to say? There was something I wanted to say with that, and I completely... Oh, right. Therefore, I did not know exactly how many stitches I had done, how many were still missing. I calculated as far as I could, and ended up with about 30,000 stitches missing that I had to do this year to finish this piece. At the moment, if I look at my calculations, I would need another 5,800 stitches. I think that's too much. I think I probably have about 4,500 to 5,000 and not 5,800. So I'm not exactly sure, but that's my new calculation. But we will talk about that in a bit. I have 2 more projects to show, and then we talk about planning. Yeah, so this is Colorado Mountains, and you're probably going to see that one shortly. I think I'm going to show the actual project when talking about it, just because I really like the project and want to show it. Okay, now let's move to my first non-full coverage piece, the one that I stitch on whenever I'm stitching somewhere not at home. So I call it my travel stitching piece, although it's officially not really a travel stitching piece, but for me it's travel stitching. And I also want to stitch on it at home whenever I have the time. So far that was very limited. Sadly very limited, but it was. So the project I'm talking about is Raven Queen by Mirabilia. This is another one I want to finish this year, and with this one I'm kind of close. I was really hoping to finish it today, just because it's Halloween and it is a kind of Halloweenish project. But I probably only have about 2 or 3 stitching hours left for today, and that's not going to be enough. Sorry. So yeah, Raven Queen. I did not stitch on her at home, just a little bit for travel stitching, but I'm still very happy with what I did. So let me show you a picture of what it looked like last time here. And this is where I got to. So as you can see, I did more down here. Basically there are 3 layers in her dress. This one bluish turquoise one, then there's this gray black one, and then another turquoise blue one. And I'm close to finishing off that first layer in her dress. So I'm looking very much forward to that. And then we'll see how fast I can do the rest, because it is getting smaller. It is kind of a circle down here, so it is getting smaller. And there isn't that much left to do, but too much for me to finish her today, which means I end up in November anyways. So I'm kind of sticking to my old rotation, and just not stitch on her right now to finish her. She is stitched on a 32 count gray linen. I'm stitching 2/2 crosses with all the called for materials, so all the called for beads and cranics and stuff like that. Needleminder is from Denkai Designs. I don't know which gray it is. Back then I did not keep track. It's a Belfast gray. And yeah, she's beautiful. She really is beautiful. Yeah. I'm stitching her in a way that I pick the highest color up that is not yet done, and then I do one length of thread and pick the next one. So that basically means, let me do it like this because it gets heavy. That means I did more in here and in here, I think, a lot more in the black. And over here as well, more stitches. So yeah, looking forward to coming back to this one once again as my floral stitching. I will continue taking it with me to work. Although today I had an early shift, I had it with me and I did not get a single stitch in. So that happens too. I was hoping to get a little bit more done, maybe finish that band or that layer while at work today, so I can show you that. But it just didn't happen. And sometimes that's just the case. So, but I'm going to continue taking it with me to work, and then we talk about the rest in a bit. Because first I'm going to show you my other non-full coverage project. I know I did not stitch on it once again. So basically it's the same starting point that you saw last week. But I really want to show it, so I'm doing that. And maybe with the Gemini Sweep now out of the rotation, I have more time for my non-full coverage pieces. That would be pretty nice. So I'm kind of hoping for that, and therefore I'm going to show my last non-full coverage piece. That is Cinderella Rags to Riches by Joan Elliott. I'm stitching the combined version up here. Cinderella in Rags is already finished. I did that last year, and this year I just have to finish Cinderella in Riches. One of my followers who already stitched her, she called it the dress of doom, and I'm pretty sure she's right. So a lot of stitching left on her, which is one of the main reasons I kind of doubt to finish all my year-end goals this year, especially so early on in the year that I will be still able to rotate through all my projects before the year actually ends. So, yeah. But yeah, this is Cinderella Rags to Riches. Cinderella in Rags is completely done and she looks amazing. And Cinderella in Riches has at least the upper part of her body and dress and hair and stuff done. So she is close, kind of close. They are stitched on a 28 count casual linen and the colorway Fog by Pictures Plus, needleman from Denka Designs. And yeah, those are those. Very pretty, and hopefully this week we'll see. Of course, I did not do anything on my sewing project once again, so yeah, that's also missing. I talked about that for the last few of my videos, that I still had quite a lot to do for a sewing project and it just never happens. And I have a deadline on the 15th of November, so I really have to get going with that. I talked to my colleague finally, for which I'm repairing some Granny Squares blankets. He's fine with me cutting into it, so that's now on my plate as well. Would be nice to finish that soonish. It is autumn now, it's getting colder, so it would be nice for him to have that blanket or those blankets back. Basically, I have to replace some Granny Squares. I have already crocheted, redid the new ones, so I just have to cut out the old ones and sew in my new ones. Shouldn't be that much work, but probably a whole day. So I'm kind of hoping that one of the days I'm not at work, I can actually do that, but we will see. And then whatever time I have left, I kind of want to stitch or do my sewing project until that one's done. The first ones have already finished and gave it to the one who's organizing that advent calendar exchange. So I really need to get going, and I'm so far behind, and I'm so sorry about that, but I just don't find the time. So yeah, that's a must as well. We'll see. So for next week, I have decided on some changes. My initial plan was to finish my year goal on Norwegian ship during November. I realized whenever Norwegian ship comes up, I'm not feeling it, and I rather not stitch than stitch on that project. That's not good, especially not with so many deadlines. So I decided to put Norwegian ship out of my rotation for the moment, at least for this week, probably also for next week, and maybe for the whole of November. Not yet sure about that, but at least for this week, Norwegian ship's out. I don't feel like stitching on it, so I won't. That means I only have one full coverage project in the mix at the moment. I did my numbers, and I would end up with, I think again, 750 stitches on Colorado Mountains to finish it until the end of December. But Norwegian ship is out. And as I said, I think my calculations that I did at the beginning of the year are off. I have exactly 8 columns left. Those 2 pages are 8 columns. In 4 weeks, that means 2 columns every week. That's doable. Normally on more or less good stitching days, I get 1 column done. So 2 columns a week. That means 2 days, maybe if I have a lot on my plate, 4 days. That's really doable. So I'm going with that. 2 columns every week to hopefully finish Colorado Mountains during November. Therefore, or at the same time, Norwegian ship under sail is out of my rotation completely for at least the first 2 weeks. At least the first week, but probably at least the first 2 weeks. I'm really not feeling that project at the moment. Before I move on to non-full coverage projects, except for travel stitching, but otherwise, before I move on to those, I will do all my other projects, like my crochet project, my sewing project, so on. Those 2. Yeah, so basically, Colorado Mountains until 2 columns are done. Hopefully that happens till Wednesday because it is kind of late already. Then crochet project. Then sewing project. And if I then have time left, I really hope to finish Raven Queen. And then moving further on. But I kind of doubt that I will be able to finish Raven Queen even this week. That's probably not going to happen. So concentrating on Colorado Mountains and my other 2 big projects, not cross-stitch related projects, is the goal for this week. So next week probably is going to be a little bit boring with 1 or 2 projects to show you. But it has to be. Yeah, I said it before, I would love for cross-stitch to be my number 1 priority in life, but it's just not. There are a lot of other things actually that are above that. So cross-stitch sometimes has to take a step back, and I have to concentrate on other things, and at the moment it's such a time. I'm still going to keep going with cross-stitch because it relaxes me, it helps me to stay sane. So yeah, at least Colorado Mountains. It would be amazing to finish that by the end of November. I mean, that would be just very great. So yeah, basically that's the plan. And I think I talked about it now long enough. I'm going to stop this video. I hope you enjoyed. And I hopefully see you back on Monday with a lot of projects. Hopefully more than 1. So see you next Monday. Bye.